Hello YouTube. Hey, my name is Brian Tubbs, coming back with another video. This morning I will be cutting some 1/4 inch plate to make bases for some of our outdoor core 10 and stainless steel pieces. I'll be using my Everlast plasma cutter to do the cutting. It can be a kind of a slow process because of the thick metal, but I'll be just showing you guys kind of what we do and why we use the thicker plate. We primarily use the thick plate because some of our pieces are so tall. I want to get most of my weight toward the bottom of the piece. So if it's not staked down to the ground, it'll be more difficult for the wind to blow it over, and more difficult for children to come by and push on them and they fall over, especially at art shows, because of course we don't have them staked to the ground, we just have them standing there. And normally, I mean, they'll take high winds and it won't push them over, just because of how we have our weight distributed. One of the key things to tall sculptures is to have your weight on the bottom from center down, and then up top, of course, you have your lightest weight. So the way we do that is we might use, like I'm using 1/4 inch base, I might use 10 gauge, 11 gauge on the lower portions, and then on the upper portions I might use 16 gauge, 14 gauge, just depends. So the higher I go, the thinner the material I use going up, just to keep your weight down. Mistakes are made when people take the same weight or same thickness of metal on the lower and do it on the top. What that will do is just cause your center of gravity to be high, and if wind blows or someone comes by and leans on it or pushes it, it's going to fall over, and it could hurt or kill someone, because this is steel that we're talking about. All right, well, let me get this plasma cutter turned on. So I'll be measuring, marking off. Well, this piece I've already measured and marked off, so now I just need to lay my straight edge, clamp it down, and start making the cuts. My plasma cutter is cranked up to 50 amps because I'm going through this thicker metal, but really on average I always keep my plasma cutter around 50 amps, depending, regardless of what thickness I'm using. It's just a clean cut. I'm not screwing around, having to slow it down and all that kind of stuff. So I'm at 50 amps, and I have right around 100 psi blowing through it. So I'm a little bit over what the machine calls for. I think the machine says like a maximum of 90 psi. I just push it at 100, just to make the cuts clean and fairly quickly. All right, so I'm gonna lay this out. And the plasma cutter has this little guide on it that I lay on the metal, and that keeps the tip about 1/8 of an inch off of the plate. And what I do when I use a straight edge, I'll find my center point on the plasma cutter, what my hole is, and then I have to measure out from the hole to the outer edges of these guides. And I just do that. I'll draw my line on the metal, put my point right over the line, then I'll bring my straight edge up to that line. That's how I find the center of my line. All right, here we go. This is what's left. I'll use this to make another piece, some small, as we call it, tabletop piece. It cut through 1/4 inch like butter. Now when I use, I'm normally cutting through like 3/8 plate. It takes a little bit longer to cut through it, but it still cuts through it like butter. This will cut up to I think 1.5 inch thickness on carbon steel. So now I just have to make my adjustments. Like I mentioned in other videos, always when you cut something, you're cutting another shape, some shape. Always look at your drop shapes to see what's left after you cut out what you want, because you get some amazing shapes in metal from your drops from cutting out another piece. We make a lot of other pieces just out of drops, pieces that you would never be able to think of, because it just comes naturally from cutting out the other pieces, and you get some amazing shapes. All right, let me get my straight edge on. All right, here we go, another cut. Like that, 1/4 inch. So this base is going to be the very bottom of it that will sit on the ground will be 18 inches wide. Then it's going to taper up to 10 inches at the top, and it's going to be 12 inches tall, which will take our piece, our reaching piece, is going to take it up another foot. So if the piece we're making is about 7 feet, then we put on a 12 inch base, It's going to take it up about 8 feet. That's how you get some of your height. So you don't have to be using so much material building the actual piece, but you can take your base and extend your base up taller, which will extend your piece up higher. So what I'll do now is get my final measurement before I make this final cut. I mean, although we can weld the piece back on if we cut off too much, but it's just a waste of time. So I'll just check it now just to be sure my measurements are correct. Yep, right on. And the majority of the metal that I'm cutting off, I will be using that again for some other piece, a filler piece, or something. It'll be used again for sure. Drawing my lines to be sure I'm fairly straight. All right, here's the next cut. Like that. Just like that. It's 18 on the base, on the bottom, 10 up top, 12 inches in height. So we'll have to cut what, 3 more of these, and when you put the base together, it'll have a slight angle to it, which when you have that angle, it presents the piece. Because the eyes go from the base, and they following those angles, and it takes them right to the piece. And they follow the piece up. And if you want the piece to go up to the sky, you design it like that. If you want them to go up and come back, you determine where the viewer, how they look at your art. If you want their eyes to go up to the sky, you create your piece to flow up and finish up. If you want them to finish to the left or to the right, that's how you finish your piece. You want to take them back down, you put a curve in it and bring it back down. So you determine how they will look at your piece. But that is one of the base cut pieces. That's how we do it. Again, it's a 1/4 inch thick. Sometimes I'll use 3/8 on certain pieces. It just depends on the amount of material that will be exposed to the wind. Like I make a triangle piece about this tall, 2 feet wide, tapers down to nothing. It has another triangle cut out in the center, but there's a lot of area for wind to blow on that piece. And if your base is not heavy enough, the wind could blow that piece over if it's not staked down. So I'll use 3/8 plate on that. It'll be like 20 by 20. Then I'll have it tapered out. So you get about 22 inches of base, so that when the wind blows, it really doesn't even phase the piece because the base is wide and as heavy as anything. Alright guys, again, just want to show you some of the things that we do in the world of sculptures. So I just want to give you guys some of the inside secrets of how we do this thing. Again, this is 1/4 inch, and then on most of the pieces we'll use like 11 gauge or 10 gauge on the lower portions, and sometimes we'll mix 16 gauge or 14 gauge somewhere in the piece. I never go lower or higher than 16 gauge because it's too thin. You burn holes in it. It corrode over time because it's so thin. So I never go below 16 gauge. So 16 gauge will be with my core 10, and I never go below 14 gauge with stainless steel. Alright guys, this is Brian Tubbs again. Just wanted to, like I said, give you guys some insights into what we do. Alright, I'll talk to you guys on the next video. Alright, peace out. Bye.